PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. Holy shit, they said the thing. They said the thing. They said midichlorians. Very briefly, but good enough. I am PLD. Welcome to Holy Snokes on PLD Projects. With me, as always, my, compatriot, my Fennec Shan to my Asajj Ventress, the record of my
what? You what? You want to reword that one, mate?
What? Matty Gunner, how you doing, my friend?
That's how you're starting the show? You're just gonna be. I was like, you said you started like holy shit, and all I could see was host has unmuted your mic. So I was like, fuck, has he paused the show? Has he paused the recording? What's happened? And you're there like holy shit. I'm like, Paul never starts that way. Like, what is something wrong? Is something going on? Did you put he put the right intro? It was the right intro music. So I was just like, what the
I think I accidentally muted your mic.
You ever scare me like that again, I will shove my size to be 12 US, my size 12 foot up your candy ass, as The Rock would say.
As The Rock would say. That's fine.
I did see that segment, by the way, the one that's gone completely viral.
Oh yeah, with The Rock being bring the Attitude Era type situation with blood and guts. And,
it actually made me think I might actually watch wrestling.
I might
actually watch it this year, because I was
The Rock gets away with a lot anyway. So I'm wondering how, if it's going to be company wide. But
I have a very big problem with The Rock.
You do? Okay.
It's more because the UFC fighters are required for their uniform to wear his Rock Under Armour shoe, and he doesn't pay them. He doesn't pay them shit.
Right.
But when that dude goes like The Rock, I immediately like forget all that, and I'm just like, oh, I'm hearing Limp Bizkit's My Way in my head,
which is one of the best promos in wrestling history, by the way. The Limp Bizkit's My Way.
Speaking of The Rock,
okay,
we go back to the island this week.
Oh,
how's that for a segue?
That's a great segue. That's a great segue. I love it. From the wrestler to the that's a double meta layer,
like where The Rock is from.
Right, absolutely.
Is he from Hawaii or is he from Florida?
No, I think he. I don't know the actual history. I know he grew up in Florida, but
because he says every fucking town that he shows up in, he says finally The Rock is home. So
he's home everywhere. So I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. I lost count after all the time. But
we're back in Space Hawaii this week.
We are back in Space Hawaii this week. Getting away from WWE, we're getting into the actual reason why we're here on Holy Snokes. We are talking about The Bad Batch. Obviously, season 3, episode 9 dropped.
POD. That's what podcast hosts do, apparently, even though, we're not supposed to.
Here on Holy Snokes, we like to break things down in a different kind of way. We like to break things down with segments instead of just going beat by beat. That's done well for us, I believe. I enjoy it this way. But first, of course, we always talk about a little bit of news first. But let's get some business out of the way before we dive headlong into it. This is your first time here. If you love this insanity, of like completely off kilter topics, whatever, this is where you get it every week. We always go through every week on Holy Snokes.
It seems like it's a brand thing. Like you and PJ do it with two mediocre white dudes. You always go off on tangents.
It's true.
We did a little bit in class action, but luckily we had Jarby there with his strict time, his strict time. Come on, boys! It's getting to near 1 o'clock in the morning over here in Estonia. So
we missed Jarby. I missed Jarby being on film with him, but. And every week we do this, of course, on brand. But if you like this stuff and hit that subscribe, hit that like if you're listening on the audio. Of course, give us that 5-star review, all that good stuff. And go find the Holy Snokes sub, the Holy Snokes audio feed, because we have our
We have
own.
a sandwich?
We do. It's the Holy Snokes sub. I don't know. It's like Wrecker on top. It's the Wrecker. And I don't know. I don't know. That would be a topic to have. What would be the Holy Snokes sub? There's got to be a Hondo in there somewhere. There's got to be definitely got to be a
hot dog.
Hondo hot dog. I like that. They have a whole restaurant based on Holy
Snokes. Do you think a hot dog is a sandwich?
No, I don't. I don't buy that whole shit. I'm sorry. Bread. It's bread in a sandwich. Just because a hot dog.
I agree with you, but I see the argument.
I remember when I heard the argument first, it did make me stop and actually think about it. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like, what else can I do? I'm going to go with hot dog not being.
Someone said to me the other day, "Is cereal a soup?" I was like,
"People are thinking
no,
out of this shit."
But
that's all I gotta say.
But I see where you're coming from, but no.
People get way too deep into these kind of things. I'm just like, I don't understand why we even. Who cares? Just eat the damn thing and be enjoying of it. But yeah, we do. Okay, so we'll go back to business again. We do everything like we said. We do have our own new audio feed because we are breaking up the PLD Projects feed into the separate feeds. Right now, we're still migrating the older episodes. Exactly. We are migrating the old episodes into the new feed. So eventually, Holy Snokes will live on there and that feed alone. I'll let you know when, of course. And if you want to help us even further, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/PLD Projects, where you can find more content like this and more extra content. You can join such people as Jeff Alterman and Brandon Buckingham. And who else we got? We got a bunch of crew people. Jeff Alterman, all crew, cool crew. Let me know what you think about that as well. If you can't do it, I get it. I totally get it. Just like, subscribe, share.
Your initiation to joining the Patreon is you must argue with PJ Campbell and Jeff Alterman about some B movie from the early 2000s that you have probably never seen in the Facebook chat. That's our way of jumping you in.
That's true. That's true. It's a love fest for the most part. But we are definitely a little bit of ball breakers in there too. I'm not gonna lie. So, but one thing we are is positive on Star Wars. That's for sure. We try to do that as much as we can. We love listening. We love watching Star Wars.
Let me stop doing that real quick before we get on. We're positive with Star Wars. It's the fandom that we don't like.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I mean, the fandom has definitely earned itself a black mark as far as I'm concerned. Overall, I'm glad to be part of a sizable crew that I really feel has made their way in the world and kind of like offer a safe space for those kind of people like us who just want to talk about things we like. It's not like we are saying everything is awesome. Everything is great. We have our criticisms of the franchise here and there, just like anybody else, but we just try to treat it fairly and talk more about what we enjoy rather than complain about what we hate. There's a kind of a fine line between criticism and out toxic hatred. But shout out to people like Ken Knapsack and Joseph Grimshaw and Jennifer Landa, of course, at the Force Center podcast, Alex and Molly at Star Wars Explained, the Thank the Maker guys, like you mentioned all the time on here. That's a good crew. Alden Diaz, another great crew, Octo Radio. We love those guys. We love that kind of space we have, and hopefully we can put forth that positivity, and hopefully other people will be emboldened to also be as positive in this kind of world of Sith and darkness.
I am going to instigate a Patreon goal right now.
Good.
Get PLD to Tokyo.
No. Okay. That would be
the goal. Join the Patreon so we can get this motherfucker to Tokyo so we can buy with the rest of us. Not cool. To get to celebration. I don't care if you manage to get a ticket.
Right.
We need you in Tokyo.
Well, if I go to Tokyo, I'm making my way in. I'll crash.
I want to be doing sake bombs in the hotel bar with Ken Knapsack and PLD while the vapors turning Japanese is blasting over the speakers.
That would be something. That was announced today. Obviously, Tokyo. The tickets are going on sale. Some great artwork from StarWars.com, Japanese.
I need that.
That's phenomenal looking. I can't. That's going to be a fun celebration. I really do feel for everybody's going to go. I'm excited for you guys as well. If I can't go to that one, which is fine, I probably won't be able to go. That one's too far for my budget to extend. I definitely will.
I'm going to be wearing long sleeves all week.
May 27th, I will be at the next celebration as long as it's in the continental U.S. and I can make it. So,
that's some culture, man.
I would love to. It's a very expensive tickets to get over there at this point.
That's why we're doing the Patreon goal.
Well, that's
why
why
we're doing the Patreon goal.
We'll consider that. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys all for checking in with us here. Let's get into the news we have. We have 3 bits of news before we break down the Bad Batch episode from this week, which was a great one, I got to say. I had a lot of fun with it. First up, the Acolyte trailer. Disney, Lucasfilm has announced the Acolyte trailer has scored 51 million views in its first 24 hours, making it the biggest debut trailer. 51 million.
How about that?
Largest viewed trailer in Disney Plus history, I believe it is. As far as
do you know who one of those views wasn't?
That was not you. I watched it a few times. So.
You've just finished a rewatch of Scrubs, so you'll get this reference. What has 2 thumbs and has never watched the Acolyte trailer? This guy.
Well, to be fair, you saw half of it at Celebration. I believe that's what I've heard. From what I've heard, so not too far back from us. It's not too long now. It's only June, so I mean we're in the end of March right now, so we are getting very, very close to Acolyte time. You don't have to wait much longer for sure. There'll probably be one more trailer that you'll have to skip. I'm guessing there'll be one more trailer,
and about a million TV spots.
And definitively. Nice segue here. The exclusive behind the scenes footage was going to be attached to the Phantom Menace re-release on May 4th. And beyond that, all 9 Skywalker Saga films are being released to celebrate the day. And I got to be honest with you, I'm with you on this. Like back in my 20s, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go that whole thing. I'm going to go all 9, lock me in. I'm thinking about that now. I'm like, I'd make it to Empire Strikes Back. I'd try start just falling asleep.
When John Wick 4 came out, shout out to the Prince Charles Cinema in Leicester Square in London. We did the 1, 2, 3, 4. Like wow. 1, 2, 3, and then the midnight showing of 4.
Wow.
Boy, did I struggle.
Oh, I bet. Reminds me back in the day. I mentioned this a few times on my podcast, especially 2 Meter Wait Dudes on Film. When I was in high school, the end, like my senior year afterwards, I got a friend of mine, we got baked, and we watched Friday the 13th, part 1 through 8 in his basement, and then went out to see Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell in the theaters. That's probably closer we'll get to this. I was hurting then, and then I had a lot more stamina back in that day. Now I'm pushing 50. Ooh, I'm going to be way past my bedtime.
Is it just the 9 movies, or are they adding in Solo and Rogue One too?
No, it's just the 9 Skywalker Saga.
Oh, God, even that. That's
I can't even imagine.
Nah, dude. Nah.
If you are doing it though, more power to you. I respect you. I'm happy for you, because younger me would have loved it.
Join the Patreon, and if we get patrons up to 50 patrons, before May 4th, I will do the Skywalker Saga challenge, and I will film it.
If we get 50 patrons, I will do the same.
Okay.
So there you go.
We'll do it live. How about we do it live? We won't go
in the theater.
No,
live
we won't
in
go to the
between,
theater.
maybe?
We won't go live in the theater. We'll do it here. You and me together. Sync up the movies.
Sync up the movie with the Patreon. Okay. All right.
Not even the Patreon. Live. We'll go live.
Oh, yeah. We'll go live.
If we get okay, here's the challenge. 50 patrons by May 4th. 50 patrons. PLD and I will sit and watch the entire the Skywalker Saga live on stream, and you get to watch it.
Perfect. I'm here for it. I love it.
Shit. What just
lock yourself into?
Get like 100 within a day.
All right, last bit of news before we get into the episode today. Of course, I got a little bit of a time crunch today, but Leslie Headland did talk influences. Don't worry, people out there who were bolstering Matty on his journey. I did pass this through Matty before I told him about this news. He has okayed it for consumption.
Which everyone seems to be getting behind it. I really do appreciate it. I was watching Anytime with Ken and Alden last week. And they started talking Acolyte, and Ken was like, "Matty, mute now." And I guess one of them said, "Someone tell Matty that he can unmute now." And Michael, I got a message from Michael McCastle saying, "Hey, dude, they're done. You can unmute it." So I appreciate everyone is like actually like supporting me in this. Sean Room as well, the great Sean Room over at Bogus Cantina. He supported me in this. I retweeted his reaction and his review with Goose from Triad of the Force. But I was like, brother, I love you, but I can't listen.
Right.
I can't listen. I can't do
understand.
it. Same with your reaction video. I'm part of this channel. I'm part of this show.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
I can't do it.
I get it. I totally get it. So, but that's why I wanted to make sure I try to pass through. I don't think there's anything. There's no spoilers or anything like that. Never even discussed the series much itself specifically. More talks about influences she had within the Star Wars franchise, what she wanted to do, and touch base on the future involving the High Republic stuff. So these are the quotes I'll read, and hopefully I have made the right decision. And because I kind of know what you want to stay away from. I've chosen wisely. We'll find out. Quote from Leslie Headland as they're talking about her influences.
Wesley Headland?
Leslie.
We said Wesley.
Leslie.
I was like, who's Wesley?
Not Wesley Snipes, Leslie Headland.
Oh,
and Wesley Snipes directing a Star Wars film. Righteous. We are in rare form today, I gotta say.
Go on, get with the quotes.
All right, Leslie Headland. Obviously, a lot of our Coruscant stuff is prequel based. It was a challenge, but we wanted to utilize practical sets for Coruscant and that meditation room that you see. We wanted to do it justice, but also have it feel real and tactile. Definitely the large amount of Jedi you see in the trailer, I think is very reminiscent of the prequel trilogy, though we don't have any Attack of the Clones level scenes, which makes sense. We're not going to have like a Geonosis type battle where all the Jedi are there. That makes sense. But also, in other words, the Clone Wars inspired the Acolyte as well. A lot being inspired by the Night Sisters. We don't have Night Sisters in the show, but they're being inspired by them. I'm inspired by Asajj Ventress. One of my favorite episodes is The Wrong Jedi. I definitely took some inspiration from that. We kind of read
that before.
Yeah, I think she has said that before. We kind of ran the gambit. Let's reference Return of the Jedi here. Let's reference the holding cell based on the Clone Wars episode here. Let's have a cantina because I've always wanted one. I think when you get the opportunity to do a Star Wars and you're a Star Wars fan, the idea is to get in a lot of your wish list. And hopefully other people are excited by it too. I hear that and I am excited. This is one of us who's making this. And like he's going to take all the different things that she likes. It's something that we would do. I don't know if
one of us.
Exactly.
One of us.
Talk about a holding cell from the Clone Wars episode. Like, oh, we'll get that. I get that. A cantina. Everybody wants a cantina. I mean, it's a remix. That's what we are doing now. We're all doing remixes on George's stuff. That's all anybody can do. And some of it.
And George is doing remakes on everyone else's stuff.
Absolutely.
Frank Herbert.
So
Kurosawa.
Absolutely. That's all you can do because it's all mythic levels. And as far as the complete galaxy universe that has been created by George and by other production designers and everything else, it's going to influence what comes after it. And it's got to, because that's what it's got to do. It's got to remind us of the aesthetic, even if as it carved out its own initial space. And that's what the best Star Wars will do. It'll take what had before to be reminiscent of some things, but actually carve out its own space to make its own little niche in the universe. I think at this point we're doing that, especially given the time frame here, given the we are 100 years before the Phantom Menace. I think this has the potential to be really something special.
It's not just this quote this because it's a martial arts themed show. It's the old Bruce Lee quote: "Take what is given, take what is useful, discard what is not, make it uniquely your own."
Yeah, absolutely. That's the perfect way to describe it. This is Bruce Lee Star Wars, hopefully, and on many different levels.
Oh my God.
On many different levels, we hope. One last thing she touched on as well was the future of the story of the Acolyte. And there's no spoilers here. It was involving the High Republic and things of that nature. She said, as far as the High Republic, I think there's absolutely room for it to grow. I think that especially nowadays, I'm just the kind of person where I want to make sure a season feels like a legitimately whole story. And I definitely pepper in a lot of like, here's how it could go this way, it could go that way. I also don't want to leave the audience hanging emotionally. I want to leave them hanging narratively, but emotionally, I want them to feel like they've watched the whole thing and then still have a bunch of questions at the end like, well, wait, now they have learned this relationship exists, what's going to happen with those people? Now, if this person has this type of power, what are we going to do about that? So I think you can definitely have some of that. That's intriguing to me. I'm hoping the satisfying ending is important to me, even though from what I gather, and this is, again, sometimes you know things, sometimes you don't. It seems like they haven't announced a greenlit for season 2. They've definitely done some work on a season 2 and it was pitched as more than one season show. So I think it's going to be something in the future. But I want it to be.
It'll be the most streamed show of this year, because we don't have a Mandalorian show, we don't have an Ahsoka show, so it'll probably be the most streamed show, despite what moron, idiot, sycophant twats on the internet will tell you.
We do have Skeleton Crew. Never know. I never know what's going to be which more important.
Shit, yeah, that's a good point.
But I honestly feel like.
Did you see the Beetlejuice 2 trailer?
I did.
How great is Amblin style stuff?
Oh, so good. So good.
I don't know why. I just keep thinking like it's going to be weird. Skeleton Crew. There's going to be some weird shit in there. Yeah. It makes me think kind of like Goonies, Beetlejuice, E.T., maybe a little bit of the Warriors.
Oh, absolutely. A little bit of that. Absolutely. I can't wait for that, to be honest with you. I'm interested to see which one does better. Not that it's a competition with each other. They all want to do good. But I'm interested to see what people are more interested in, because Skeleton Crew has the, I think, leg up a little bit about being tied in to the Mandoverse. And it's the next part of the Mandoverse, which is leading, of course, to more Mando movies and things of that nature. So there's that, that Marvelized need to go to the next project. And then we have this, the Acolyte, which is completely separate from everything, and in a time frame that we've never seen before. So it has the leg up of being something completely original and new to the universe to a degree. So it's definitely an interesting comparison of the two shows we're getting in live action this year. So absolutely. All right. Anything last on that, or do you want to move on?
We got some shit to talk about.
We do have some shit to talk about. That's a quote that's going to be in the next Holy Snokes t-shirt. Quote Matty Gunner. We have some shit to talk about.
This week to talk about.
Some shit to talk about. There you go. I like that even better. We have episode 9 in season 3. This is the Harbinger. And as always, our first conversation always revolves around the topic of Hondo Watch. Now in its great season of 2024. Let's get into it.
Who wants to see Hondo? Talk to me.
What watch are we into on this show?
What was that?
How many seasons of Hondo Watch are we into in this show?
It started.
Ahsoka, Kenobi, Mando season 3, Bad Batch season 2, Tales of the Jedi, Andor. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. And all of Bad Batch season 3 so far. So yeah, absolutely. Been around a while.
7, 8. This is the 8th inning. We're rounding to the bottom of the 9th.
And have we seen Hondo? Does he appear? Did he break the streak this time?
This effort is no longer profitable.
Still no Hondo in the Bad Batch season 3. We are running out of time. Bad Batcher, Jennifer Corbett, Brad Rao. Let's get it done. You have the chance to do something great.
Although they did say the word, as you mentioned at the start of the show.
They did say the word.
So they gave us that. We have been pining. Well, no, we have not been pining. We have been demanding that you say midi-chlorian.
Say the word. All right, let's next get into our next segment. We call this one Mission Briefing.
What do you need, Rex? Any chance I could use you for a mission?
This is where we used to go kind of beat by beat and talk about the show, even though that was never our intention. Just ended up being that way. We're going to go in our overall conversation here, just about what happened and what we think of this week's episode before we break it down even further. Obviously, this was it, the great big return that we were waiting for ever since the trailer dropped. We have the return of Asajj Ventress. Most interestingly to me is the fact that, as always, Star Wars fans can be very, very impatient. Very impatient. So we got the drop. She appeared. Even though, despite Jennifer Corbett, Brad Rouse saying that they were still following Dark Disciple and they weren't retconning it and everything else, we got no explanation as to why she's there, despite this happening after Dark Disciple. To that, I have to say, it's okay. That's okay. We don't get it yet. I think we all know that something is coming and that this will be dealt with eventually, because if they're saying that they're not retconning it, they have to have a reason why, and they have to have a story word, which means it's eventually going to leak out to us. But to be completely honest, given who we're dealing with the Batch, with Omega, who don't even know her, it doesn't matter how.
Thank you.
it happened.
Oh my God. Pass me the bat. Let me at this shit.
There you go.
I've seen
Go
a
ahead.
lot of people like, oh my God, this episode sucks because we didn't find out where Quinlan Voss was. Oh my God, this episode sucks because we didn't find out how Asajj returned to life. It's not pertinent to the story that is currently being told.
In this episode specifically.
In this story overall, Asajj does not play into the story of the Bad Batch. She is just a passerby of this story. This is not the Asajj Ventress story. That show will come. That we believe, we hope that show will come. We don't need to know everything right now.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
we've only got half an hour a week, sometimes an hour, 45 to an hour. We don't need to know everything now because it spoils what could come. If they gave us she was resurrected through Night Sister magic, and then or the tears of Quinlan cried into the green pool and it magically brought her back to life. The tears of the only man to ever truly love her, some Sleeping Beauty bullshit like that. Like that would have cool. That would have been cool. We would have got an explanation. But how does it pertain to the story being told in this episode?
Not at all. And
No.
in fact, quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be a little bit of I don't know, bait and switch comes to mind, not in a negative way, but only because of how fans react to things. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the only episode of Asajj Ventress is on. I wouldn't be surprised at all. This is it. That was it. Will she come back? Maybe. There's a possibility she can come back, especially when the cavalry comes in, that kind of thing. Potentially. But that's not important. That's not the story. Sometimes what Star Wars does best is they drop in these little bits of pieces and bits of knowledge, and they get explored upon later on. And this is something that I'm afraid her name. The voice actress.
Nika Ferdinand?
Yeah, let me look that up.
I can never pronounce her last name right.
I feel bad. I should know this. I know it's not like off the top of my head. I can't remember it. Nika Futterman. I believe
that's it. Futterman, not Ferdinand.
She had basically let loose at one point that this was like dipping the toes in, and that's all it needed. Because the story is not about us. You said it best. The story is not about Asajj Ventress. It's Asajj Ventress is dipping her toe into the Bad Batch and Omega story. Where does that part fit in? And it was a good part to fit in. A good part to fit in. I will say, beyond that, it really hit home. Something I kind of always known. We've discussed something like this before. But really, the show Bad Batch is all about perception and the changing of perception. And things aren't always what they seem. That's been the way since the beginning. The Clone Wars weren't what they seemed. The Bad Batch themselves, defective but effective, not what they seem. Got to look a little deeper in. Crosshair, Omega, their stories are all about there's something going on a little deeper than what we know. Asajj Ventress, what a great parallel. You have the Bad Batch being the side that fought in the Clone Wars, shunted aside by the Empire. You have Asajj Ventress, who was on the Separatist side, the opponent of the Bad Batch at that time. She got shunted aside as her things. And what I love,
they still refer to her as a Separatist assassin.
Right. And I love the fact that we basically have opposite sides of the coin in terms of Crosshair and Asajj, and they both can kind of find solace with each other to a degree. Nothing big, nothing like this is not a love interest or kind of thing. I mean, obviously she's got with Quinlan Voss, nothing like that, but it's just kind of shared respect and a shared moment. Crosshair can understand where she's coming from, and almost while he wants to protect Omega, you can also understand that she needs her own kind of vision because of what he went through. He can empathize with her. Asajj Ventress must be tired, very tired. This is the first time we've seen her visually as a quote unquote, quote unquote good guy. I mean, you could say at the end of the Clone Wars arc, with the arc with Ahsoka and her trial, that she was acting more in the benefit of the light side and benefit of Ahsoka. This is her with the new hair and everything else where she is.
Oh my God. She remind me of I don't know. Do you know who Brody Dahl is?
Yes, I know that name. Yes.
Brody Dahl was, let's just put it this way, it was an awakening for me. And I got serious Brody Dahl vibes from Asajj Ventress in this episode. And I was like, well, there's that.
But yeah, so she really, this is the first time we get to see her fall on that side, but she's frustrated because she did all these evil things. She did a lot of evil things. She got a lot to live up for. Star Wars redemption has always been a big part of Star Wars, but until recently, say with the Bad Batch, quite honestly, with Crosshair, and now with Asajj, even though Bad Batch can't claim Asajj as their own, really, it's about people who have done evil things, who have done the wrong things, made the wrong choice, are redeeming themselves, and don't get the out of dying at this point. They have to live with the stuff that they did while trying to do the right thing. Now, we could still see Crosshair go before the end of the series. I still think that could happen. I'm starting to lean less on it though at this point, but maybe because I think
I think Crosshair's going to survive. I think Hunter's going to bite the bullet.
I think that might be the case too at this point. Maybe my odds jumping down a lot because I think the Bad Batch want to showcase that they want to see Crosshair to live with what he did, and his goal the rest of his life is to strive to be better and be a better person, and Omega's a big part of that.
Let me put this image in your head, and it's something I've floated to other people. Let me paint this picture for you. Hunter sacrificed himself to save Omega.
Mm-hmm.
The last shot we see of the Bad Batch show, we got in Clone Wars, Ahsoka putting the helmets on the wooden pikes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The final shot we see is Omega putting on Hunter's headband.
That'd be nice. That would be a nice connection at that point. That'd be a nice connection. In a way, how weird would it be? Like, not weird, I guess. And just throwing it out there. I mentioned before, what if Omega's the only one to survive? And at the end, we get this like amalgamation where she's at the end of the series, she's wearing the headband, she has the toothpick, she's got the goggles on, she just has like all together, all like a little amalgamation of it. Anyway, that'd be almost like kind of really kind of cool and cute to see it. Not cute's the wrong word for it, but it's like that connection going forward. How cool would that be? She carries them with him. She's gonna carry their story forward, even if they're there no more. Interesting.
And it speaks to the core theme of this show, which is identity.
Mm-hmm.
And Asajj has been she's been working on herself all this time. The Bad Batch is still caught up on this. Even Crosshair says it. I'm still I'm still having trouble deciding what side you're on. She says, my own, because there are no sides anymore. This is about protecting each other, protecting those who are close to you, looking out for number one, protecting yourself. There are no sides. The war is over.
Right.
For now. The war is over for now. There'll be another one for you to fight if you so choose. But for right now, it's about looking after yourself, your immediate family, your found family, and taking care of your community, which I thought it was very ominous that the fog that we see surrounding Pabu, which we've not seen before. It's usually very bright and sunny and very tropical. Mm-hmm. The fog to me it represented that uncertainty of the future.
Right.
We can't see through the fog. We can't see what's going on. It's a very uncertain, and that speaks to not just Pabu in the future, but like Omega. We don't know what Omega's future is going to be. We don't know what the future of Bad Batch is going to be. And now you have characters like Asajj Ventress showing up saying, "Oh yeah, this is to do with midi-chlorians, and this everyone is connected to the Force," which is another point I'm going to get to in a minute. And Omega, which is a great moment of Omega excitedly being like, "Oh, you saying I'm a Jedi? I can be a Jedi?" Like, what little kid, like even us as kids, be like, "You're telling me I'm a Jedi?"
Right.
Awesome. Absolutely. And yeah, it speaks again. And I keep bringing this up every time. Everything is connected through the Force.
Everything.
Everyone. Go back to the very first arc of the Clone Wars with Yoda saying to the clones, "You may all look the same." And this is quote Yoda verbatim. "You are all unique in the Force."
Right.
Now listen, I can fight. I've trained it for most of my adult life. I am no Anderson Silva. I have played guitar since I was a small child. I am no Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
That doesn't mean that the talent can't be nurtured. Could Omega be a Jedi? Probably. Who knows?
Absolutely. If the Bean Ren can, absolutely an Omega can at this point. That's what it seems like to me. That's what it's trying to showcase now in his later years. I think it's something that George Lucas eventually wanted. It just never got around to quite doing it in this fashion, and I like that. But because it's always the core tenets of his beliefs. People get mad about that, and then they say, "Well, how did Sabine Wren get so forced?" No, George always said the Force was in everyone. Yes,
Asajj even brings it up. He says, like, it's not to do with the blood, right?
Right.
It's
right.
how you use it.
How do you use it? Now, I like that there is the connection. Yes, someone who has a higher M count or middle chlorine count, yeah, they have an easier time connecting with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine, and I think that is a great combination of what George was setting up and what we have gotten here so far as well. It's a nice little remix of the situation, something we are learning. The story evolves as it always does. Yeah, and let's talk about the training. I think it's interesting. I wonder. I don't know how
Mr.
you
Miyagi.
the Mr. Miyagi, yeah, Asajj as Mr.
The
Miyagi.
crane.
I did wonder, like, I know there's gonna be some smartass out there. I don't even think they'd even do it. Like, I don't think they'd even do it. But let's just say it's like, well, why don't they just have the thing that Qui-Gon used and have a hi, that's like no, the tests are more like actual tests. Like we have the tests out there. You know what? But hey, I'll throw it out there. Maybe they don't exist. And maybe that's a Jedi thing only. Maybe that got destroyed in the process.
I mean, who else would be testing midichlorians other than Jedi? So all those devices probably got destroyed.
Right, absolutely. Or they're in the hands of the Empire. That's another potential thing. In the hands of Hemlock and people like that, for example. But what actually makes more sense too, because if that happens, like this is just another quick tangent, is that maybe that showcases that we're not necessarily looking for a high midichlorian count. I kind of feel like that's the way now. We're not looking for because there's some parts of this episode went the way we kind of somewhat thought it was, and we thought it might go a different way, but to subvert expectations. It was kind of like the expected path. From the beginning, it was always kind of teased that she had a high, that maybe she'd be a Force user, or whatever. But I feel like in this episode, we learned that when you put the logic together, if the Empire's testing them, they could probably find a way to test them like Qui-Gon did, and just boom, high midichlorian count, boom, there it is. They're testing something else, and it's the ability for whatever is in that blood, or maybe the type of midichlorians, I don't know what it's going to end up being, that can let Palpatine's body get resurrected into a clone's body, so to speak. So I think there's something more about not necessarily just high count, but what is going on with that specific blood of Omegas.
I think it's because she is a clone, right? But she as I've mentioned on this very show before, she's not altered. She hasn't gone through the accelerated aging. She's the closest, like her genetic structure hasn't been torn apart and modified to the degree of her brothers.
Right.
Had been. She's the closest thing to, I don't want to use the word pure blood, but like
right.
or natural, you know?
Right.
The closest thing to the cosmic
pure source,
the natural force.
Right.
You know, you have like she's like the water directly from the spring, as opposed to you know, putting it in the bottle and diluting it and then selling it as Evian or whatever.
Putting the strawberry flavoring into it, or
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. She's like the water, like directly from the spring.
Right, absolutely. But all right, so going back then now to Asajj's training methods, they're interesting. They were definitely interesting tests for sure. But I kind of feel like as the end of the episode goes on, like when you first started, kind of like, what exactly, how are you testing this? And I guess she's not really testing her M count. I have the feeling Asajj knows what her M count actually is. I think she's testing her will, her desire, her natural ability, and her commitment. Because it takes a strong commitment to learn the Force and to become a Jedi and to become that kind of Force user. And I think by the end of the day, when we get those couple different connections, we realize that at least now, Omega really isn't that interested beyond the, oh, cool, I can be a Jedi. But she doesn't have the commitment to do what it would take, because as Asajj says, if she's going to be a Jedi, she'd have to leave you. She'd have to commit to this 100%. And she's not ready to do that yet. Just as much as they're not ready to let her go, she's not ready to let them go. And Asajj understands that. So at the end, I mean, we'll go back to some of their action stuff at the end. Asajj leaves. She basically comes out and pretty much lies to Omega, I feel. And then like tells the rest of the batch the truth after she leaves. Like,
I think I know why.
And I think I know why too. But go ahead, I'll let you go.
There was I saw a couple of people online today say, "Oh, here we go, another case of Omega trusting someone that she shouldn't again. Here we go, this same old trope." Clearly, all of you guys who like claim to have like knowledge of the dark side and the characters that wield it don't actually understand it. You can come back from it. Just because you touch the dark side doesn't make you inherently evil.
Mhm.
It just gives you it's only if you allow yourself to be manipulated by it. You have Asajj Ventress, left for dead by her Jedi Master, left for dead and abandoned by the pirates that took her in after that, left for dead and abandoned by the Council. Her Master Dooku multiple times tried to kill her once he just done and discarded her like a toy, and she didn't find her purpose until she found the man that she loved, who, by all accounts, probably a couple of times probably tried to kill her too.
Mm-hmm.
I know he definitely did in The Dark Disciple. Spoiler alert. This is a person who has been hunted and persecuted because of her abilities and because she comes from a background that, you know, isn't strictly a happy-go-lucky background. She made friends and found family with the outcasts and the weirdos, and she's been hunted and persecuted, like I said, her entire life. Gee, who the fuck else meets that description? Omega.
Yeah.
This is a young child who has been chased all over the galaxy her entire life, and she has no idea why. Asajj as a child probably had no idea about her abilities, what she could do, the full extent of her power. Omega's probably said, we see it at the end, she's like, damn, well, thanks for trying.
Right.
But inside she's probably like, shit,
right.
Why are all these people trying to kill me, trying to take my blood, have me constantly on the run when I'm just trying to be a kid?
Absolutely. And I'm gonna expand on what you said on a couple of different notions. I think you are absolutely right. I think first of all, I think we're seeing Asajj opening up to the world, and because, like you said, because of her background, she understands more than anybody else could. She's actually very important.
She sees herself in Omega a little bit,
right? And I think that's why it's important they brought Asajj back, because she's the only one who really could completely empathize with the situation and see it from a detached point of view. And the Bats love her, but they're too close to the story right now, and there's no one else out there that really could do it. Asajj sees herself, and she knows what that abandonment did to her and what that loss did to her. And I got to be honest, it's almost like you almost blaming the Force is the wrong thing, but I feel like we're more going to see potentially see a statement where even if you have the talent to use the Force, not everybody was meant to use the Force, to be a Force user, not to be a Jedi. You might have the talent, but that might not be your path. It might be more important, and you might need a stable family more. You might need that stability that the Bad Batch provides, Omega. You could take Asajj could definitely go, well, Force user, let's go. I'm going to train you. But sometimes that isn't always the right thing, even though you'd want that. You want the power. You want to be able to do that. But power isn't everything. Sometimes stability and love and family is more important. And I think Asajj sees that. She finally sees that too after finding Quinlan Vos, after finding that love that she's never had. She's been going through a lifetime of shit. Finding that thing with Quinlan is more important than the Force to her.
And it also reflects on the Bad Batch as well, because they've grown up their whole lives as stewards of war.
Mm-hmm.
And now, they're having to find their path. It's like you're not just soldiers. You're brothers to Omega. You're part of the very first thing we see in Pabu in this episode is Crosshair and Wrecker helping out the community on Pabu. That's their purpose now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But they can't let it go just yet.
Absolutely. I think that's an amazing part of the story, and what a brilliant way to do it. Like, the more I think about this episode, the more I like it. Like, it's still definitely like setting up some things, but man, the development of these characters and the amazing development of a character who was, for all intents and purposes, dead, And we never got to see that death. We got to we read about it, not to denigrate books, but we never got to see this in action. We get to see her development and where she is now. That's an important part of the character. And to me, quite frankly, we went back to the argument of, well, Dark Disciple had such a great ending for Asajj, the perfect ending of the situation. To bring her back, it has to have something important to be able to negate that as the end. I think we got that. I think we got that already. We got to see this already, and I can't wait to see this continue down the line throughout maybe different media. We'll have to see how it goes.
Add to that the symbolism of the cavern. Where do people traditionally go for their trial? In Star Wars, you have the cave on Arco. You have the cave on Dagobah.
Yep.
You know, it's Omega going and the Bad Batch going through this trial of, we are probably gonna have to let Omega go at some point. Whether she goes off with Asajj, probably not, but at some point she is going to want to forge her own path, and we cannot stop her from that.
I'm gonna save that, and I'm gonna put a pin in that particular aspect because I want to save some of that for her Force. Her Force vision. But yeah, let's talk about this. One of our basic parts of the show before we get into our more segments. We had the big. I mean, we'll probably talk about this specifically. We had the great moment where Asajj sends Omega away to get the flower on the top. I forget what it was. It's a flower on top of the thing, and we basically get the Bad Batch versus Asajj first verbally and then physically.
I don't think that was a test for Omega. I think
not at all.
Just Asajj being like,
I gotta talk to your daddy.
Get out of here because I'm about to fucking dog walk.
We need to come to a point of we need to come to an accord here. So I need you away, that you're not trying to stop this, because adults are going to talk and then adults are going to throw some hands at some point. And it was great on every aspect of it. The fighting was great. The verbal repose were great. Asajj tired of it, tired of being doubted, but understanding why she's being doubted. This is just her life now. She knows that. Crosshair doubting, even though he's been in there. Hunter and Wrecker doing the same thing. They don't.
Another tech mention.
Of course. Tech can't tell. It's kind of funny. It's like when they lost Sex, they can't have Tech go, oh, this is Asajj Ventress from blah, blah, blah. So they lost their human computer. I was like, I got to check the databases that Tech left behind. Yeah. But it's a great moment, and it could have lasted all episode. Like, honestly, that could have been a big battle, but like it was just well fought, well shot. Everything about it was a great action sequence. We'll talk. I bet we're going to talk more about that during our action segment.
Maybe.
So
I might have some thoughts.
So let's say we're just going to pass that through. Let's move on to the other side. They do come to an accord, and they do give her the chance because Hunter gives into Omega and says we're going to give her a chance, even though Crosshair still doesn't like it. Crosshair is the worse than Hunter, as he said himself. But then we get the great adventure on the sea, and
Omega left them a gone fishing sign.
Some negative Nancy's might go, oh god, it's another big monster. Bad Batch. And you know what?
Hey, before you say that, let me tell you, there's always a bigger fish. There's always a bigger fish.
I will say, if there's a criticism, it is a little bit kind of every week. It's kind of like, okay, it's another big monster. Okay, it's another big monster. I don't mind it. It's fun. But like it is kind of.
I told us. There's always a bigger fish.
But what's more important to me there wasn't the bigger fish. It was Ventress. Ventress testing her this way. This was kind of more of a test to see where she was as from nature goes. Seeing Ventress connect with nature, what a great juxtaposition from her time in Dark Disciple. We went to Dark Disciple
with the sleeper and the sleeper. Which, oh my god, genius of her having the black snake on her armor, because that's what she killed on Dathomir.
Right.
And then if you look at the sea turtle. Its eyes had like a black snake on its pupil. I was like, oh my god.
I loved about it though. I love the fact that it shows when we saw her before, she had to touch the forest. She was having Quinlan touch the dark side and touch the forest by finding the sleeper and killing it. That's how she has always been. That's how she's working. That's how she's come. She's gone past it now. She's touching nature. She's like it was like Luke and Grogu. It was like she's got the fishes, and it was a very kind content. Not going to eat them, I don't think, but very kind and very like engaging with the natural surroundings. And she did. She said she accidentally touched. I didn't mean to do it, but she touched a sleeper type creature.
Can we talk about as well how she said that the Bad Batch aren't doing a very good job of hiding? Yeah, she's out there actively using the Force to make fishes glow. You don't think someone's going to notice that?
They might. That's a good point.
You don't think a couple people are going to get their spidey senses tingling?
That's why they went. That's why they went so far out. That's why they went so far out. So they wouldn't be taught. But she does have the great moments with her, and when she does get taken, they try to. Bad Batch try to do what they do, is go and come for the rescue, firing at it, and she's like, no, I got this. Has the moment where she really goes face to face with it, and he puts her down after like some momentary destruction of it, but she made her point, and she's taken that step forward in a way that she never had before and never would have before. So she getting to see her growth is very powerful. After, of course, the sea adventure, as you want to call it, we go back, and this is where we mentioned before, Ventress is saying that Omega does not have a high M count. Notice she doesn't actually use the Qui-Gon. Maybe she didn't use the Qui-Gon device for that reason. Maybe she knew right away. She'd go, boop, it would light up like a Christmas tree, and she'd be like, "Oh, I can't." Oh no, she didn't want that to happen. So she goes, "Okay, this is what it is."
It's like a COVID test, but like if the bar just like shot through the slide, you're like, shit. Or like, do you remember the old Acme cartoons where they used to put the thermometer in the mouth and then it would just go up to the top and then explode?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it would have been. Maybe we don't know. Wrecker, of course, goes off and does what he does. He comforts her by getting some chow. Let's get some chow.
Yeah, she's hungry. And he saw it as a way to get out and get some food.
That's how they have always been together. But I like the fact that Crosshairs are one. You're lying. Like, but what about? We don't know. That's when she brings up the idea that if she did have a high M count, she'd have to leave the batch. And she knows that that's not good. So that's where it leads me to believe that she's lying, that she does have a high M count potentially, but she knows that in the best interest of Omega right now, despite her saying, they're not safe right now, you're not safe. She thinks that ultimately they're probably safer with the batch. She's safer with the batch than trying to go learn the Force at this point. But you better get out of here. So what does she know? What does Asajj know?
I'm going to tell you what she knows. She just used the bloody Force, and now a certain someone who, let's face it, they know, if, I'm going to use the name, Vader senses from across the galaxy. Wait a minute. That felt like Ventress. Go check over there, my minions. Go over there and see what's going on. They don't even have to know that it's the Bad Batch and Omega, but they can send the Death Squad, Hemlock and his Death Squad over there. And shit's about to go very, very, very wrong. And I feel like Asajj Ventress just lit up the bat signal. Be like, hey, we're here.
Well, you know what? Let's put a pin in that as well. Let's see what happens. Let us go through the rest of our segments before we wrap things up. Rest of our segments, of course. First up, The Bachelor, we call it.
I was hoping for the whole squad, but you'll do.
All right, that's where we are. Who was your favorite Bachelor of the week? Doesn't have to be a member of the Bad Batch. Just your favorite character of the episode. Matty?
Mine is a member of the Bad Batch, and he's a frequent Bachelor of the week this season. It's Crosshair.
Okay.
Crosshair hung in there, man.
All right.
And he had the moment where he had his sniper rifle trained on Ventress, and he was just like, "Yeah, we're not giving her up. I don't care. We are not giving her up."
Right.
And then he kicks the gun over to Wrecker and Hunter because he's just like, I don't care who you are. We've taken down worse than you. Like, I'm not sure who the hell that could have been, but it was just like Crosshair's like he's gone from this
back baby,
like complete shell of himself to now he's just like staring down Asajj Ventress like, dude, I don't give a shit who you are. You touch this girl, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Notice no shaking moments this week. I don't know if that was
I mean,
intentional
he
or
almost
if that
got his
was
other fucking arm broken, but
I wasn't sure if it was intentional or not, or if that was just a like we'll deal with this again later on. Maybe I don't know either way. But yeah, he was definitely on point, and I'll give it to you since I had gone between two characters, one of them being Crosshair. I'll mention my Crosshair stuff as well. Yeah, I love this moment. His growth the entire time. He goes from he's back with the boys, but he understands where Ventress is coming from, where Omega is coming from in terms of that. And he has a moment like the end with the Marauder. He gets them back on. He takes Omega's hand, helps her aboard, looks at Ventress, takes her hand, and helps her aboard as well.
he's right out there too. Like as soon as that door comes down, he's straight there. Like, Omega,
Mhm.
give me your hand.
No.
Did you notice the theme too? When he kicked the gun up, there was the little bit of the Bad Batch theme in there. I was just like,
that let's put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that.
Lizzie's the boys are back in town.
Put a pin in that. We'll get to that. Yeah, no, absolutely. But Crosshair definitely had these moments where he had a lot of these little moments throughout that made me realize, yes, he was probably my favorite of the week as well. But I will slide, since you gave it Crosshair, I'll give it to Ventress this week. And that might be an obvious choice, getting to see Ventress back in. But I was someone, I like Ventress a lot. I like Dark Disciple, but I was definitely hesitant about seeing her come back, especially if it wasn't a flashback like you had initially proposed.
Well, it was a flashback.
Right,
Shows how much I know.
Hey, we speculate, and 99% of the time we're wrong. That's okay. But I will say I was hesitant about the idea. But I was really sold seeing her in this. I really feel like this is such, like I mentioned it before, and I want to repeat myself too much, but it felt like it was a very important part of the character, and it was worthy of resurrection to see her development in this way and to become almost like a mentor figure from where she was. It's a complete circle, and I'm excited to see what we get from her next. Now, I'm actually more excited now than I was before. I remember when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh, Asajj is back! Wow, that's cool. That's kind of cool." But it was more about the action, more about seeing a character I already knew. This was something different. This was something special to me, and I think she showcased that she does belong. She has a story to tell, and I'm interested to see where it goes next. I'm very interested to see where it goes next. So, all right, let's move on to our next topic of conversation. I spec.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.
Favorite line of dialogue from this week, Matty? What was your favorite line?
I've gone with quite deep quotes over the last few weeks.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hit with a funny one because I got a good comedy moment, and I want to essentially have two. So this is kind of cheated. When Omega's talking about how like that they should trust Asajj, and they're like, she's a separatist assassin. Da, 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 da. She's like, then why didn't she kill you when she had the chance? And Wrecker just turns around and goes, we were just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
Sure you were, buddy.
That's a very record thing, wasn't it? A very record thing for sure. I love that. No, I did love that quite a bit. I had a couple of ones I tried to go through. Both of them are pretty serious overall. I think I'll go with the one I already said. I will say my honorable mention. I did like the "I never gave up on you, did I?" moment where Omega says that to Crosshair. It really kind of hit home. But I'm going to go with the other one I mentioned earlier. Just Crosshair, you're lying. It hit. It was very cold, very calculated, very much. Not even necessarily cold in a emotional standpoint, just like kind of like he understands his character very well. He knows his character, and he knows there's something that she's hiding, and he needs to know what it is because he's protecting Omega. So tell me what you really know, and what's the truth here.
I love the new thing of Crosshair and Hunter side-eyeing each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time it's like a bullshit radar. They're like, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. All right, our next segment then. Put that in your holocron and snoke it.
Do you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Explore more lore. So we look at something this week and we go, okay, what do we want to look into more? What do we need to know more? Book, comic, episode, sometime in the future. What do we need to explore? And I don't know about you. I think this is pretty much an easy one. I think we all know what we want to know. Maybe you'll have something different, but I think we all got to know about Ventress. We do, even though I want to call out the people who are demanding an answer right now. We don't need an answer right now, but we do need an answer eventually to figure out how this exactly went down. So I am curious, and I think it's important to explore.
We do need to know. But I did have something different.
All right, let's do it then.
I am fascinated with symbolisms, meanings, signets, all that jazz. I want to know the symbolism of that tree.
Oh.
That's like, it's kind of like, it reminds me of the statue of Christ in Rio. When the way they look at it, because it's like at the top of the hill.
Right.
So it kind of looks like that. I forget what the monument's called. But it's like, it also kind of reminds me of like the tree of life from Norse mythology, or like, to bring it back to pop culture, the white tree in Gondor.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, why is that tree so important to the people of Pabu? What's the symbolism there behind the tree? Is it just like because it's a symbol of life and regeneration and coming to this place for a new start? I'm curious why Ventress said go to that tree, and the way that they looked at it was kind of like, it reminded me of that statue of the Christ statue, the one that's in Rio.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great thing. I'm glad you did that, because I'm glad you went beyond the obvious, unlike myself. Because it's always good to have that in here. No, I agree. That's
superficial.
Bitch. That's right. I am. Hey, I'm tired. Anyway, let's move on to our next bit then. Seeing a lot of action.
Hear a lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
Just go.
Action bits. It was that moment. It was the moment you tried to set to put a pin into. We can talk about it now. Bad Batch theme. Kiner knocking out of the parking gun. Wrecker flipping the guns to the crew. The Bad Batch there. It was legitimately like a WWE style pop. And it was like, oh, the boys are back and they're pissed now. It doesn't necessarily matter that they got their ass kicked a little bit later on. It was still it still had a great moment where they actually had that like poster like moment. There they are. There was a shot of them at one point, like it was like literally a poster, like the three of them together. And I was like, holy shit, I got pumped up. I was like, yeah, that's my crew right there. That's my boys.
And they say the line, we're not too big on following orders. I was like, if we had a fist pump moment why don't we have a fist pump moment segment on this show? We should bring the next series. We're bringing in the fist pump category.
Action Anatomy Day is actually I can see that. Let's do that.
That was a fist pump moment for damn sure.
Oh yes. The whole bit, like we're pinpointing a little small bit there, but that whole action sequence was just phenomenal. When Asajj finally brings out the lightsaber, it's like, damn, that's fucking sweet right there. That's we haven't had a lightsaber in this show in like a long time. If like, have we had one since? Oh, Gunji had one.
Gunji had one, yeah.
That was the beginning.
Gunji and Kanan, yeah.
Kanan, Depa Bilbo there, but beyond that, yeah, that's it. So it was nice to see that back in action, and like seeing Asajj versus some clones. A little bit of nostalgia right there for different sides of things at this point. I love it though.
And dog walking those clones too. Like I appreciate Wrecker being like, we were just getting warmed up, but
yeah,
buddy.
149, they're definitely effective, but Asajj is that next step up for us. So
yeah, I'll give mine now. I even tweeted it. There was a moment Asajj hit a flying. She did one of my favorite moves that I love to do in jiu-jitsu, a little scissor sweep that she did on Wrecker, where like you go underneath, lock your legs, and then trip them from below. I love doing that. That's like one of my. So when she did that, I was like, oh my god, beautiful. So then she hits Crosshair with a fucking flying armbar. I watch fights all the time. I watch jiu-jitsu matches all the time. I swear I've only ever seen that move get hit maybe 5 times.
Right.
And work. But it just looks cool. The way she like just jumps up, wraps her legs around the head, brings them down, and then pulls on the arm. Crosshair was about to like get his other hand, but his other arm fucked up. Like he would have been missing with both arms, no matter what arm he was shooting with. So jiu-jitsu in Star Wars, we're here. We're finally here. I love it.
Good for you.
My two worlds
colliding. All right. Next up, we got Laugh It Up, Fuzzball.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Our comedic moment of the week, our laugh moment that made us laugh out loud, and I had a good one. I want to go first in this one.
Oh.
This was definitely my favorite one. I legitimately, I actually had to watch this at work for the first time because I had no time. So I laughed out loud and was like, I had to look around me. The moment Wrecker, they're out on the boat, and Wrecker turns with they got the binoculars on, and all of a sudden, Asajj turns to face him. He's like, "Oh, we're so looking at it."
The grunt.
It was the grunt. It was exactly that. Oh. It's the wind up. Everything is so perfectly placed. And D. Bradley Baker.
Do you know what else is great about that moment?
No Rucker.
Is it Trump's Crosshair too? Because Crosshair's whole thing was like, I always know when I have eyes on me.
Right.
Do you?
Yeah, comparatively.
And
So
mine is, it's the same moment, but it's a different part of the moment. It's the shot from far back where you see the three of them looking through their binoculars. For some reason, I saw that and I thought Three Stooges.
So Rucker's got to be curly, I guess, right?
Yeah, which one's Larry? Which one's Mark?
I guess I got to say that Hunter would be no. Maybe Crosshair's Bo. He's been more the most serious of the bunch.
Yeah.
Well, Larry is Hunter. Is Hunter. That's what it was. Good stuff.
The grunt from Rucker.
I'm gonna have to see that meme now. Maybe Brian Ward can do the Three Stooges.
Brian Ward, if you're watching this show, please give us or like Three Men and a Little Lady.
There you go. That's a perfect one right there. My God. All right. Next up, we got Parsecs.
It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
Less than 12 parsecs because they always turn up to 11 here on PLD Projects. Well, what do you say, Matty? What is your rating?
I give this a 10. This was great. I really enjoyed it. In fact, no, I'm going to give this a 10.5.
All right. Near perfect episode, huh?
Yeah, perfect.
I got to say, it's amazing what time has done for me. Like when I first watched it, it's like, oh, it's a good episode. Solid episode, 8.5, 9. And like, it seems like the longer I go, I bump it up even more. The more I think about it, I bump it up even more. And I'm with you. It's a 10.5 for me now. It actually got all up to 10.5 because of the depth of what is going on, because of how much it actually made Asajj Ventress important to this story, and not just be a cameo, not just be a fan service. Oh, here's Asajj Ventress. This actually meant something to the story because of who she was and how she can connect to Omega and how she can really help Omega see what she is and what she needs at the time. There's a lot of power in this episode. And it's one of those kind of low-key episodes in terms of it's just the batch and Asajj, and that's really it. One quick Pabu villager for a second there. That's Crosshair's friend. Another comedic moment of the week. Low-key, not a lot of like overall action plot, but a very deep depth plot of character and where we're going. So yeah, 10.5 for me as well. So our final segment of the episode before we wrap things up, Force Vision.
Premonitions?
This is where we take a look at the future and we get to see where we're going with all this. This is where we speculate as responsibly as our little bodies allow us to. I'm going to throw it out there. I took a step back and I want to pitch a potential prediction here. I wonder, we know that Nika Futterman said that this is the tipping of the toes that Asajj is going to get more. What that more could be, we don't necessarily know. It could be Tales of the Jedi. It could be an arc of that could be enough to maybe do that, but I don't think that's going to be it. I don't think that's enough. I really honestly, truly am more sure now that we are going to get a full-on Asajj series. But what I didn't foresee is just how connected it's going to be to this. I thought the Bad Batch was going to end the series like the clones and everything else, but I think while this will end the clones' overall story, I think we're going to see an ending now where Omega actually decides to leave the batch. I think it's Michelle Ang has said something about it being a bittersweet ending. I think she leaves the batch behind because they made her safe. They've gotten her away from Hemlock. Everything, or that part's going to be resolved. And while she has a family with them, either the batch all go, which I don't think is really going to happen. I don't think they're all going to die, but that would be something. If it almost would be something. Let's say the Bad Batch dies, and so now Omega has no one left. So she's like, now I'm ready to step into my Force stuff or whatever that is. But I still feel at the end that she'll make an appointment and go, okay, you guys are good on your own now. You guys have done me proud. Now it's time for the kid to leave home. It's time to leave the kid to go off to college and become herself. I'm going to find you. And she's going to go off with Asajj. And the new Asajj series is going to be Asajj and Omega together. And maybe get some Bad Batch appearances here and there, so we don't, like, if they do live, we do get to see Wrecker once in a while pop in. We'll see it's the kind of thing. Quinlan Voss will be part of the series, and maybe Quinlan, Omega, and Asajj will basically be help forming the path, or getting involved with the path and things of that nature. While Omega learns the Force.
I love your enthusiasm. I really do. I love your optimism. I'm just looking at my notes here because I'm here. I don't know if I should go as irresponsible as I think I'm about to go.
It's okay. As long as you know you're being irresponsible, we can responsibly say we're being irresponsible.
I think I do know how irresponsible I'm being. I'm going to go back to the Asajj just lit up the bat signal kind of a deal. We heard before the show that we were going to get some people showing up. I'm wondering if an Inquisitor comes to Pabu. Because Hemlock says he's got the full Empire at his disposal. Does that include Inquisitors? That might not be the Big Daddy himself. Might not be the Grand Inquisitor, but do we get an animated Reva?
Could get an animated Reva. Could get I don't know necessarily where the timeline falls. This is really responsible.
Well, maybe he does show up.
Maybe he does. He is in the show. At some point, we know he's in the show.
What?
He was in the trailer. Vader. Oh, Vader was in the trailer. We can get Vader at some point to come, potentially.
Where was Vader in the Bad Batch trailer?
I believe he was in the season 3 trailer, wasn't he? I thought he was.
No.
Am I misremembering?
I don't think he was.
I thought, I know Palpatine definitely was, but I thought I saw Vader.
Oh, shit, what Palpatine showed up in Pabu.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be funny. That would be pretty funny. I'm going to open up the final trailer, and yeah, Vader's actually in the thumbnail, and one of them.
Weird. Okay. Well, I'm not going to say Vader's going to show up in Pabu, but I'm just wondering if, like, an Inquisitor or someone of that ilk shows up on Pabu, because I think with the fog and everything, the imagery of the fog, that doesn't spell good.
Yeah.
For anyone.
Vader in front of the 501st was actually the shot. Like, Vader in front of a bunch of stormtroopers. So, and actually looking at the shot,
why don't I remember that?
I don't. That's interesting because it has a potential of showing. It looks like, and looking at the shot that I'm looking at now, it almost looks like it's the.
Can you put it up?
I'm gonna see. I can do. Although maybe maybe it was a fake. Maybe I'm thinking it's a fake. Hold on. Let me take a look at this real quick.
I think I'd remember that. I'm googling it now as well. I can't. Did Brian Ward hoodwink you?
That would be funny. That would be great. That would be great. This is great content, by the way. I know that much.
Yeah, we're pretty much almost done. So
yeah, it is. It's true. Bad Batch. No, it's a Vader Easter egg. I don't know. Maybe I was hoodwinked into thinking that. I don't know. Potentially.
By the way, someone is going to show up in Pabu. I'm thinking it could be an Inquisitor, and there is going to be not a lot of good happening.
I totally agree. I totally understand. Yeah. All right. Well, either way, if he does appear, does not appear, Vader. I thought Vader appeared at some point in this series. It would make sense because he is around, obviously, and this is getting serious. This is the Emperor's big. They need Emperor wants it, so it wouldn't be surprised if he puts his big guy, his big dog in there as well. Wouldn't it be cool to see Asajj and Vader event fight off?
That would be crazy, yeah.
Be cool. Maybe that's how they. You know what? That actually makes a lot of sense because, quite frankly, let's just again speculating.
Asajj and Vader?
Responsibly, yeah. Because what happens is, like, say, we think the storyline is going to the point where the clones are going to attack Tantus or free the clones, yada yada yada. That's like the big ending of the clone story. That's what we kind of think is going to happen. Of course, we don't know, but that's our speculation. If that's the case, and Tantus is so important to the Emperor, he would have Vader there or on standby. So maybe Vader shows up, and how could the clones or the Bad Batch or the Bad Batch and the clones? How do the clones defeat Vader or defeat the Vader and everything else? They do if they have Asajj on their side. Enough that Asajj can't beat Vader, but she can keep him busy enough.
Help him get away, yeah.
Keep him busy enough to get the job done, and then they get away. Maybe that's why Asajj was even brought back in the first place.
God, what have I done? What have I done? What the can of worms I fucking opened up?
Absolutely. A lot of speculation here. But yeah, I'm very interested to see where it goes. What would you, just going back to my initial one, would you want to see an Asajj, like if there was an Asajj Ventress show, would you want to see Omega as part of it? Omega's part of it.
Would I want to see Omega as part of it?
Would you want to see?
I would like for her to have an appearance. I wouldn't want her to be like the sole like Padawan, because I don't think that's what Asajj is looking for. I get we had the whole Mr. Miyagi moment of doing the crane and putting the melon or whatever fruit that was on top of her head. I like the family dynamic of Omega, Asajj, and Quinlan. It looks cute in my mind's eye, but I wouldn't mind seeing like Asajj helping kids with high M counts overall. Omega maybe being one of them.
I personally would love to see it. I saw it. Like I'm not one who was pushing for an Asajj series. When I heard the speculation that was the next series, it's kind of like, okay, that's good. You know me though, I've always I want to jump away from this period of time and go into a post Jedi time frame. That's my biggest one. Is that's like that Luke, Han, Leia, maybe young Ben Solo, Lando. Like that is a very unexplored part of the timeline that I'd really like to see get in. But that being said, it's not like I'm against an Asajj Ventress one. But if the Asajj Ventress storyline is the one we're going with next, that's the next animated series we're working on, then I think it's a great way to have that connective tissue. Clone Wars to Bad Batch to now to Asajj into Rebels eventually. We got Ahsoka going from Clone Wars to Rebels. Having Omega be that kind of connective tissue, you could have a Asajj Ventress series that has everything you want from this era. That in between stuff we don't know. We don't know how Rex gets to the planet. We don't know.
Maybe a later season of the show. I think season 2 or season 3. I think you could start it with where has Asajj been? How did she get back? All this blah blah stuff that the people are so desperate to know about, us included.
Right.
And then you bring Omega in midway through season 2, maybe season 3.
Could be. I think eventually
with the path a little bit. Maybe Omega's helping out with the path, kind of a deal.
Absolutely. So, well, all right. I think that will then do it for us. Unless you have any other further Force Vision notes you want to say. No, you good to go.
Don't take anything I said in my Force Vision for note. Don't take it with a grain of salt.
Grain of salt. Big grain of salt.
I really would love to know. I would love for someone to go back through all of our Force Visions and like tally up how many times have we been right and how many times have we been wrong.
I think we'd be the opposite of what K2SO said. It's very low. Very, very low. That's okay. We have fun. That's the important part. That's the important part of speculating if I'm talking about it. So
we get deep and then at the end we get nuts.
I like what you did there. I see what you did there. All right, Matty, where can the folks find you?
You can find me there. At Matty Morna, all social media. Follow my band Morna at Morna Band on all social media. New song coming soon. I can't announce it yet. I've been told to keep my mouth shut because I tweeted out the artwork the other day and I got told off for it, so I had to delete it straight away.
Oh, huh.
yeah, so that's coming soon. Where can people find you?
All right, you can find me, of course, you can find me at Paul _ News Zero on Twitter. You can find me all over this channel. We do I do Two Miracle White Dudes on film with PJ Campbell. We just did Never Hike Alone as part of the Friday the 13th franchise. It's a fan film by Womp Stomp Films, who actually left a long comment.
I was gonna say you got some pretty good feedback.
We got a long. I didn't get a chance to respond to the comments. It was so in depth. I didn't want to give just a passing. Oh, thanks. I want to actually get into it, so I'll have to do that a little bit later on. But they didn't appreciate our talking of their film. We had some discussion behind the scenes, so it was actually really cool to see a creator and we talk about what he did to make the project, everything else, and what he did with his team. Very interesting. So definitely take a look at that. I think Never Hike Alone. You think of fan film, you think of it's not. I think fan film gets a dirty name sometimes, but this is a really well developed. I mean, it's low budget, obviously, but it's very well developed and can fit the franchise very easily. So we have a review on that next week. We're going to do 2 weeks from now, we'll do Never Hike Alone 2, which is the sequel. And of course,
maybe one day George will leave a long comment on
our show.
On our show.
That would be awesome.
Like, guys, I want to come out and talk to you guys.
I would die. I would die. I wouldn't be able to make it. I would just be like,
Tarantino's got his own podcast, right?
He does, yeah.
Can you imagine if George Lucas had his own podcast?
That'd be so sweet. So sweet. You also find me on review every other week with Lego as we go through the V franchise, and then Crown Jewels this week. I might have to skip this week because I had a lot of scheduling things going on, so I might come back next week with Jealousy, a nice little piano ballad from Freddie, and I think that does. Oh, Big Blue Box. We actually PJ and I did a trailer trailer breakdown of the new Doctor Who trailer. Yeah, that's.
Did you guys cover the new Doctor being in the can?
We mentioned it in our podcast before. Shooting Gawa being on just Ken, and what a wonderful guy he is. We love him as the Doctor so far. We only had a third of an episode with him, but already he has won our hearts over. So, all right, that will do it for us this week. We'll be back next week where there is a 2-episode drop next week, I believe. I believe it's a 2-parter. I have to say that I am on call with my job next week, so we're not sure. Hopefully, we'll be able to do it same time, same date. We might have to push it back a day. We're going to look into it as best we can. We'll definitely get it out at some point. So just keep your eyes open. I'll let you know as soon as I know. So, but until then, of course, as always, may the force be with you always.